You know what? All things considered, quite well. How about yourself?
I oddly feel all the pressure of the world being relieved from my shoulders, being very relaxing. However, I'd say the last couple days, the demand for me to come back has kind of like reignited the pressure in a different way.
I can barely imagine.
I'll give you the short version. Faceless has been both in literature and the various books we've come across, discussed this very moment in time the last couple weeks that has been planned for months, years. My guess around shortly after the Constitution, in which they're what they dub as Phase 4 being a destabilization of various pillars. And I guess or at least the institution that I represented was one of them. And as such, when the rumors of me handing over the besties, Andre to the besties, went around, the Faceless jumped on that, and they sent login credentials to Chief Justice Angel and a tablet with a Faceless chip. When she logged into the Faceless app, there sat a video. One that ran for about 7 minutes from Mr. Blue, in which Mr. Blue said in so many words, repeatedly, how can you represent justice when you allow this corruption to exist? What Brian Knight did to Andre. If Andre deserves justice, or like justice is needed for Andre's actions, well, justice is needed for Brian's actions. How can you stand on this? And, are you going to prove us right or are you going to prove us wrong? They effectively appealed to Angel's ego, in my opinion, and said, if you do not do something about him, we will expose the truth. At the end of that video was a 3-minute video from Clark Mason, in which he stated that he gave me Andre, and I gave Andre to the besties, to which they then tortured him. Then therein were my stolen records, my phone records, pruned in such a way, or cherry-picked in such a way, that they were then able to make the claim that I was in coordination with calls with Clark and calls with Forehead, but cherry-picked to drive a narrative. They removed all the phone calls in between. All the phone calls that show that I'm on the phone good 80% of the day with everybody. And with that came a temp suspension, effectively, where I needed to be babysat by Rhodes. And then, and this was the day before the bombing of the prison, the day before we knew the Buccaneer Way docks were getting attacked. And regardless, they still thought it was a good idea to make that decision. 3 days ago, as I stood there on Friday watching the devastation, and the day I lost Cassie, one of my marshals.
Wait, what?
Yeah. Cassie died in the bombing. I stood there helpless and screamed, how the fuck did they decide to prioritize these allegations instead of worrying about this? Where is the Chief Justice? Where is the judiciary? And a bunch of fucking dick-riding pussies immediately brought it to mommy. And because of that, I was then suspended. I'm being left in the dark as to the process. They have not questioned Clark. They have not subpoenaed him. They have not questioned Forehead. Actually, they did. I forgot. Chief Justice actually called him and said, did Brian deputize you and have you torture Andre for him? He said no. She called him a fucking liar and then texted him, look, if you're willing to talk, we can protect you. Like, it is the most dastardly shit I have ever seen happen in front of my eyes. There is no logical reason that I can think of other than like some skewed vengeance due to me pressing back to the judiciary a week prior when they had effectively suggested that Homeland has done absolutely nothing. Fucking dog shit opinion by a dog shit individual. I say this in that these handful of officers have been grinding the wee hours trying to do what they can, only to be spat right in the face by someone who has never done anything remotely similar. And I think that pressure probably, I believe one of two things. Either that directive, effectively, like I said on the phone, I think the ego and vengeance aside, the faceless just went and the DOJ fell over. Fucking embarrassing.
That certainly is demoralizing, and based off of the conversation I had with a certain blue-suited gentleman, it's not surprising, especially in conjunction with conversations I've had with certain individuals. Like a certain McAllister who's featured in one of the Faceless videos.
Yep. He, that boy, called himself the Faceless Lead, but his efforts did not match his, the way he spoke in grandeur about the work he did. But yeah, I'm in limbo now. They apparently, they wrote the most fucked warrants I've ever seen. They claim I'm faceless. And then in another statement, claim that I'm tortured a faceless asset.
Well, that's about as faceless as it gets, Brian. It sounds quite ironclad. I don't know where the confusion is.
Yeah, well, you know, I'll tell you this much, Eliza. If I do get fired, and that's kind of the vibe I've been getting when no one has any answers to how this process works, I'm sure as hell not going to simply bow down. Whether that means grabbing a gun and holding down Fort Zancudo or whatever it might be, right? I'm not the kind of individual that's going to hop on a plane and hide away, right? Trying to protect the sanctity of whatever moral justice you know, men and women in suits think are needed at a time like this. We're at the brink of not just collapse, but potential extinction. It fucking grosses me out when people are just walking around, law enforcement and otherwise, thinking everything's okay. They're going to wake up in the morning.
Complacency.
Yeah.
It is unnerving hearing that you are facing this, Brian.
Well,
but it is reassuring that you are still maintaining your verve and sense of fight. Because I think they're banking on people becoming demoralized. I mean, it's... You were at the rally I held at Legion Square a couple weeks ago.
I was undercover. I was the Man with the bald cap.
Oh, I see. The one of the people calling Brian Knight a vampire, a demon.
Mm.
Good deflection. Well, that rally had not just myself undercover, but a couple other individuals, including one who is dubbed with the title Owl 8.
Owl 8?
Owl 8 is one of the agents that works alongside Charlie and his cohort. There's also a whiskey and some others. Owl 8 is one of their espionage tech guys.
Yes.
The one that manages the bomb collars. I don't know if you heard about those. They turns out whenever they bring guests of a certain sort to their lovely little island getaway, they are inclined to fit those individuals that may be considered a flight risk with a collar with a bomb attached to it. I was one of those grateful recipients. Owl 8, this person who manages those. He basically relayed the gist of what I was speaking about at that rally to his bosses. And they saw fit to pick me up for a conversation at their beautiful South American villa. Ended up seeing quite a few interesting things. They treated me very graciously, except for the whole bomb collar thing. It's night and day difference from how I hear some of my compatriots got treated.
You were kidnapped?
Yes.
I had kind of speculated, but I guess not enough to actually think it happened.
It did. It was myself and Andy Coots, who was collateral, got scooped up with me, brought to the villa where we were told that I was expected to have a conversation with the boss. Time came, it was myself, Andy was present, a litany of their guards, Whiskey and Owl 8 were in the room, along with a couple of individuals not wearing masks. Harry Brown and Frederick White, who were in attendance. And of course, the one leading the whole thing, the man dubbed with the title Mr. Blue. Now, the entirety of the conversation is not word perfect in my mind, but he wasn't trying to recruit me by any means. But he was struck by how similarly our ideologies aligned. Basically, that, yes, things fundamentally are flawed with the system in San Andreas. And thankfully, the Faceless are playing an honorable role in being the ones to help take it down. You see, Brian, based off of what Mr. Blue said, they're the good guys! Who would have thunk? They are so convinced that they are the ones that are doing what is needed to create a better world, to forge forward on a new path. I mean, if a vase falls and shatters, you don't simply try to glue the pieces back together. You sweep those broken pieces up and get a brand new vase, right? I'll have to say, my facetiousness aside, if I wasn't as learned as to their activities as I was, I'll have to say that Blue Man is an evocative speaker. And I think people who are either uneducated or happy to take the easy path are very easily swayed, which is why I was particularly struck by how you compared the DOJ's kowtowing to the Faceless's blackmail as simply bowing to a breath of air.
And
that's essentially the gist of the conversation that we had. Him saying, I'm not trying to recruit you, but we have a lot in common, you and I. And if other people are getting that pitch, individuals like Harry Brown and others will be very easily recruited to continue the Faceless's work. I don't believe they're trying to kill everyone, but they're not afraid of collateral damage from what the ultimate goal is.
And I think that's why I think it's important for me to preface it is not the DOJ. It is Chief Justice Brittany Angel.
I see.
The other justices have been kept in the dark, so much so that their concerns were met equally with non-answer.
I understand.
I believe that the Chief Justice, I've known her for some time. She covets her image very, very much. And that was the very thing that the Faceless threatened. But in the way that Mr. Blue spoke, and I'll attempt to get a copy of this video, not just for my own records, but depending on where things go. They very similar to the way you described Mr. Blue and his pitch, in a way pitched to her. Right? And I think deep down that made her question, if I do this, maybe I can come out of this unscathed. In fact, perhaps in a position, I can look good coming out of this, as if she can be someone that can balance the scales of justice, both in terms of the Faceless on one side and law enforcement on the other. But that thought in and of itself shows how far gone she is. Because let's not be mistaken, the Faceless will topple them down just as well. And you mentioned collateral. That's the problem. All these foolish people think that they're going to be survivors. Nobody knows. But look at Cassie. Look at all the others.
I mean, they're behaving like a death cult in a way, for lack of a better phrase. They talk about sacrifice and how it is an honor to give everything for the sake of this cause. Seems like a lot of their fellows feel the same, or at least say they feel the same. That's what makes it even more daunting. Especially with truly exemplary good people like Cassie having to pay the price.
I just realized you described an abusive relationship.
Brian, I've been in the cult life for a long time. I can recognize the pattern when I come across it.
Mr. Blue, tells people sweet nothings. Listen, babe, I'm going to give you the world, We got to do this for all of us. Jesus fucking Christ.
We're going to be talking about that. That leads to next topic of conversation.
Could you give me 30 seconds?
Of course.
Yeah.
Of course.
All right. Sorry, please go ahead.
No worries at all. Mr. Blue was not the most important person I encountered on that island. During my time there, while I was on the villa, I saw a variety of individuals pass through. Saw Charlie, had a very interesting conversation with him, where he asked me why Clark would work with Brian Knight.
Oh!
Little did I know where that would lead. What I told him was that I thought Clark was an opportunist. I think they might have taken that a little more seriously than I intended at first.
Oh, shit!
Saw Charlie, saw a couple of individuals with the red masks. Saw someone similar to Mr. Blue, but wearing a purple. Saw the one dressed in all white. And then I saw in the glove box, I have a couple of files. I'm going to ask. You did not see these from me, and I will need them back after you finish reading them here.
Of course.
The placement file was handed to me directly by the subject of the file. And then the second one was also, in a less direct way, handed to me by the very subject of that file.
Ian Crawford.
Yep.
I'm
Did
gonna
not say a word, of course.
He did he give this to you?
He. All right, so for the placement file, it was myself and Andy. It was following the meeting with Mr. Blue. We were black bagged and put on the helicopter to be brought back to San Andreas. Halfway through the flight, Whiskey, who was flying, was given an order that we could kind of hear over the static of the radio. And he said, "Roger that, we're making a pit stop." I was taken off of the helicopter and was told to walk down a runway towards a figure who had a gift for me. When I got there, I noticed it was Mr. Crawford who gave me that.
Yesterday, and this also did not come from me. The morgue was broken into by faceless assets. Andre was spotted and suspicion of Carmela.
Really?
There was an attempt to hack into the computer systems. And you might be wondering, how do I have these files? Well, one does not simply stop being the director. What's your state ID?
That is going to be 15710.
You'll see a file in your documents labeled Brian. It's Ian Crawford's autopsy report. A little bit more context in the event you're unaware.
Then I think you are going to find the other document that I put in that glove box very familiar.
Ah. Oh, this is what the Faceless stole.
Uh-huh.
What?
So why would Ian Crawford give me that? Or he didn't give it to me, but I was having I was praying, as I do sometimes, up in Sandy, and I came across that on a picnic bench. And while I was reading through it, he walked past me. Sort of stopped in an expectant way, as if waiting for me to say something, and then walked off.
So, it's so puzzling. So you had this before the PD or the Faceless had it. Because, mind you, we know the Faceless broke into the morgue. And
I only got this today, I should note.
Oh, today. Ah.
The first, I suppose, placement file I received a couple of weeks ago at this point. And then the autopsy report I received today.
Shortly after the Faceless got possession and law enforcement.
Mm-hmm.
So, in the event, this is... I'm not sure if we ever spoke on this, but we had previously discussed the Hollow, how Ian Crawford was involved, Victor Blackwell was involved, which sets a timeline of some of the books penned by Victor Blackwell. Also, Delta One, also Charlie, also the Dravens, etc. So the Hollow being what was, I would say back then, maybe a secret society. Maybe simply the start of, I don't know, maybe like some kind of criminal syndicate, clean front. But whatever it was, eventually came to have ties with the Faceless, came to have ties with what became Blackridge Capital and security firm, both financiered by Victor Blackwell. Blackridge, however, at some stage was reformed into Darkstone. But before that had happened, back when Delta One and Charlie used to work side by side in Black Ridge Security and Capital, they were given the order to kill Ian Crawford. Delta One took the shot. Charlie, all these years, thought that Ian had died, and Delta One kept that secret from him. Something had happened between the two, causing the split. My presumption being that some of the elements of the Hollow, or perhaps one of the wings, may have split apart in some way. This is why Darkstone and the Faceless are such... I'd say mortal enemies, but it does not change the fact that they don't kind of tie back to the same origin and maybe taking orders from the same master. I know I might be sounding very confusing right now. It's
No, I understand what you mean. It seems that there's a lot of planted opposition that works in tandem with a lot of their dealings.
Absolutely.
Like like Darkstone, they believe, or their main operatives believe, that they are working as an independent entity with, opposing terrorist entities, but really the ones who are in charge and the ones higher up know what the actual purpose is. I mean, control of information is one of the most powerful tools that they have, the Faceless, and they utilize it disarmingly well.
I've always wondered how it is that the Faceless happen to always get the one-up on Darkstone. Every time we were successful, even against all odds against the Faceless, preventing them to get their hands on whatever the Darkstone just happened to have, they'd get it 2 or 3 days later. Whether it was the logistics core, whether it was Amanda Miller. And I believe in the heart of hearts, Delta One and most of Darkstone thinks it was all a coincidence when in reality, they were put in a position in the same way that Charlie and the assets are put in a position. It is contrived. It is. Have you seen the Victor Blackwell book, the one about the phases?
Oh, I actually have, yes. There
That
were a
is.
couple of documents that I came across while on the island.
I think for me, that is one of the biggest clues when put in conjunction with some of Victor Blackwell's writing. There's some journals in which he describes being left a card, if I recall, white and blank, except for a number, one of which led him to a room with men he describes as speaking in ways that isn't one of necessary confidence, but assuredness. He sort of describes in his journal as though he, in a way, seems out of place, but is called because he serves a purpose. We know through other entries, both in the journal, but more specifically as material we've collected over the past 2 years, that his job became the financiering. And that he writes that the man in all white is the one they all fear at the table. But if we go back to Ian Crawford, Delta One knew he survived. He was told to keep him alive. I know Ian Crawford has helped us 8 out of 10 times, but somehow seemingly helped the Faceless 2 of 10. But maybe that's a false representation. Maybe that's just through my lens, and maybe in those situations, maybe I missed something. But for me, it kind of looked like he was playing both ends.
Some context, there are going to be a couple of things that I missed from the Blue Man conversation. It was about an hour and a half long.
Yeah.
He mentioned, if I recall correctly, Ian Crawford was the one who made the call in New Jersey.
What? Okay,
Yeah.
that's the second person who told me that. And I was so confused. So now who told me that? I was told yesterday by another investigator. And I'm like,
really?
Who told you? Because, and I'll say this, right? I am not necessarily doubting it, but I think it's worth inspecting the claim.
Understandable. That Mr. Blue said something to that extent.
So I believe Ian Crawford. So Delta One kept him alive. He kept the secret from Charlie. When Charlie learned, I think by accident from me, because I sort of assumed, like, I didn't know who Ian was early on, right? And Charlie was pissed. And that's, Delta One gave me more information about them being ordered to kill him, but he had to keep him alive. And Charlie was forced to be kept in the dark. And, you know, Ian, we know, has been on Faceless Island, which the how is bizarre, right? Unless in some way the Faceless allowed him to be or could not touch him for some unknown reason.
Another small bit of context that I completely forgot. When I was receiving that file from him, he gave directives to Whiskey. So he was giving, like, instructions through, like, I suppose,
What?
gestures. Mm-hmm.
So that adds up. Because and I can tell you that Ian, with my own eyes, was saved by Delta One when I tried to throw him in cuffs.
Mm-hmm.
Now, Charlie told me at one stage that he's going to die. And mind you, I've had some very intimate conversations with Charlie, and where to describe I'm not like McAllister, which I'll describe as, some people will call for the tea. And their intent and goal is nothing other than to speak until maybe they whisper sweet nothings. We do this with Brandon too, but my point where I'm leading to this is there was always an investigative nature from his side and my side, trying to understand what the other knew. And it came to my realization that Charlie was going to die at some stage. And after what was clearly a case of Charlie fucking up and likely being on the chopping block, I asked him directly how long he had left to live, and he said not very soon. At the end of it, he said, Brian, I don't have long to live, but if I die, you need to kill Ian Crawford, as he is more dangerous than anyone else I know. And that stuck with me. Now, when I combine this with what I had suspected, the playing both sides, I add it to you with the statement that you just got done making about him giving directives to Whiskey. Me seeing with my own eyes Delta One or someone in Darkstone saving him from detention. And then I couple it with the fact that Ian has been casing the courthouse, where a little computer system we suspect is tied to some sort of financial system, and the satellites are pointing to, yes.
Have you by chance seen an FIB document about an investigation into Ian Crawford?
I vaguely recall one, and it was by oh my God, what the hell is his name? The guy that lived in Polito.
Oh, that I am not familiar with, but I received an unresolved incident review where it talked about a systems analyst by the name of
Ian Crawford.
Yes.
Yes. I have seen that. I completely forgot.
Very good. That's what that ticked in my mind for me.
Oh my God, I'd completely forgotten he had been in the... This is the document. This is like one of 3 FIB documents, right? About like the anomaly and
I know there's another page to the incident review that I believe the City Chronicle has.
we have 3.
Oh.
I believe the first talks about systems being vulnerable. The second further goes into talking about the systems. And then I believe the third one is the one that mentions Ian Crawford being an analyst who discovered these things. Is it a heavily redacted FIB document?
Fairly redacted, yes.
Yes, I think yes.
Sorry, I did interrupt you.
No, you're good. I will say this is that in a worst case scenario, there are contingencies in that while I may not have direct access right now to a lot of these documents, we did in the case of, we did plan, myself and my ghosts, a mechanism that those documents do not get shelved away and deleted by law enforcement. We had considered to create a truth bomb because we started to realize people have become very complacent as to what's happening and do not believe law enforcement or what people may be saying about the faceless and what the dangers are happening. So we said, What if we just release it all? Accessible to anyone. Because at that stage, it's not a trust us. We're investigators. We're law enforcement. It becomes, here's the information. Make your own judgment. So as the worst comes to worst, I do have access to these files. I just have, given the pending nature of my status, I'm just holding back. But if that status flips, I'll be sure to give you access to them.
That's a lot of trust.
I don't think it's I think it's, look, this is bigger than law enforcement, right? What good is a mystery in solving something when we're about to die if we don't solve it together?
That is very true.
So this document, placement, partial recovery, several lines redacted, sealed internal to who? Placement approved, ordinary closure denied. I'm not sure what that means. Publicly, he's terminal. Merida retained. So immediately I'm reading this and it almost reads as though this is after his alleged death.
That's what I've gathered now. Mm-hmm.
Ian came into contact with material he was never meant to keep. And therefore the order from the top was get rid of him. Delta One decided otherwise. I'm just kind of making up the narrative as I go. Charlie and company would have disagreed. Hence, maybe that's where the turmoil between Charlie and Delta One began. By the time this review was opened, he had already seen too much and retained too much to be treated as an ordinary loose end. Which reminds me of the loose end. Faceless tried to kill him again 7 months back at the Buccaneer Way docks. The guy working under him, Wilson King, was executed by Brandon. It was under the document, follow the noose. No, follow the money. You get the noose. Book number 3 or 4, or mission number 3 or 4. Killing him would have ended the immediate problem. Keeping him created future use. Oh! That was the decision made. What the fuck? Approved action. Public death to proceed. Actual death denied. Prior identity to be closed. So Ian... Huh?
I know.
Okay, can I say something crazy? The theory from the very beginning was that, is Ian the FIB agent? But the problem I can't wrap my head around, and why I've always said no to this theory, and I still hold to this, is that for that to be the case, it would need to answer why Ian Crawford was named as a FIB analyst back when, oh, God damn it, whatever that fucking guy's name was. He has like fucking 3 different pseudonyms, like Robert or Rosner or whatever the fuck. So that's number one, is that consistency would need to make sense in my head, because that Ian being labeled in the FIB documents back then. Roman Gray. That's who I was thinking of. For him, Ian to be Roman Gray, it doesn't answer why Ian's name is specifically noted way back in the old FIB files. And that in and of itself says 2 people. The next is, and this is going to sound a little strange, but Roman Gray's daughter is kind of old, you know, and Ian kind of looks like he's like, maybe hitting his 40s. Whereas his alleged daughter is in her 50s. But you know what? I'm going to keep an open mind. Prior identity to be closed. That right there really suggests that he had a different name at some stage. Okay. Subject to be removed from visible life. And another way I would read prior identity closed may not actually have meaning in terms of the name change, but rather what he did in the past. But I do think this is still name change. Subject to be placed, and to be fair, okay, anyways, subject to be placed elsewhere under controlled conditions. Okay. Observation to continue after placement. They're putting him somewhere else. Where he was before was working with Delta 1 and Charlie, and that would have been in either Blackridge and or for the Greater Hollow. So if not there, then it would have to be somewhere else. Observation to continue after. Okay, this is not an accident. This was approved in advance. I mean, even this writing like screams like Mr. White, and it's just this lingo screams their way of speaking, which, mind you, is very different than some of the other books in this space, like Blackridge, which is very like corpo talk. This is more execo talk, let's call it. A staged terminal event remains preferable where the subject is too visible to disappear quietly. Okay. A staged terminal event remains preferable where the subject is too visible to disappear quietly. Other parties are already watching. Copied material may survive ordinary closure, and future value remains higher than disposal. Okay. Where these conditions overlap, death may be made publicly true without becoming final. Okay. I think that's just fancy way of saying he's more valuable alive than dead, but in order to close some of the loops that might cause people to ask questions and start digging deeper, we need to make it seem like he actually died. The subject remains useful for reasons including continued access potential, FIB, and any other place he encroached in, which reminds me of a statement made by Blake Cole, who is our intermediary with the Oracle. When I brought up Ian Crawford to Blake, he was surprised to hear he was alive, and he mentioned that Ian Crawford is kind of a Littlefinger, which, I mean, look, he's got his hands in the hollow jar, in the faceless jar, in the the Blackstone jar, or not the Blackstone, the Darkstone jar, the FIB jar. And so we can presume that up until this point, he had his hand very similarly, very deep into these organizations. And they said, we can't let him go. He's too valuable.
That is interesting.
Yes. Adaptability under severed identity conditions. Severed identity conditions. Adaptability under severed identity conditions. Okay, that's a fancy way of saying he's good at being undercover. Interpretive value. I don't know what that's supposed to mean. And future placement near institutions, people, or decisions of interest. Okay, so in other words, this guy, his connections, his knowledge of various high-level orgs and being able to get in and out due to his knowledge makes him super valuable. In some cases, hiding a man is less useful than putting him where he will matter later. I will say, okay, you ready?
Mm-hmm.
Ian Crawford is Roman Gray. And he was given plastic surgery. Because you know how I mentioned all those things that didn't make sense? Because, like, you know, his age, relationship to his daughter, the name in the file. And I say this with like 60% confidence, more likely than not, rather than definitively. Because now, having read up to this point, they're quite literally like saying he shouldn't be hidden, he should be out and about. He also, why is he able to get so deep? It's because he was probably the guy investigating all kinds of shit. He knew about the FIB. He knew about the Faceless. He knew about Talon. He knew about like all this stuff. And of course he's going to learn about all these other things as well. But
I would be very inclined to agree if it wasn't for one thing.
not his age, I take it.
No. They spoke of another individual that they had in their custody, the Faceless, on their island, a prisoner that they held, who was an FIB agent from Jersey. His name was Ethan Gray. Now, apparently, Ethan Gray was a very vocal opponent to what the Faceless and their subsidiaries were doing in Jersey, and he ultimately failed, is reportedly what they say. He basically was held there to watch as New Jersey burned and fell and was reconstructed under the vision of whoever holds the reins of the Faceless. And he pissed them off so bad. This is me editorializing a little bit here, so forgive me. He pissed them off so bad that they wanted to really show him how much power they have. Not only are they going to do it to his home and show him how much of a failure he is, they're going to go to the city where his brother lives and do the same exact thing and have him sit there and watch. Do to San Andreas what they did to New Jersey. Now, does this 100% negate your theory? No.
I think it might support it. Because you said his brother's city, which I already had in my mind when you mentioned Ethan was from Jersey. Because, and this might sound a little cliche, but, you know, if my brother was a FIB agent, there's a good chance I may be as well. And most FIB are going to get placed where they get placed, right? Somewhere. And if they had my brother Ethan, me being Roman Gray, well, they have unlimited leverage to maintain a leash. Because if this same entity were to try to kill me, and the same entity is needing me to not continue doing the things, well, they need a reason for me not to, like, maybe they'll let me, like, look and learn, but they're never going to want me to go past a certain red line, right? Because of how much knowledge I've got. And what is that red line? Maybe the brother. Now, I
think the only thing that confuses me is, and it, you know what, Mr. Blue is under no obligation to tell the truth at all. Why would he say that Ian Crawford is the one that gave the call in Jersey? That could just be their own narrative that they're spinning.
Yes. And it may also be because if I was the FIB analyst who knew everything about the systems, and these systems, as we've now learned, are the water treatment, is the government entities, the things that hold the society up, then I am the perfect architect for how to burn it down. And then came the day where I learned so much that while he may have made the call, that doesn't necessitate making the decision, but rather knowing, like, having to make the call out of the necessity of the, the brother. Like, hey, we need you to do this thing. And it's like, all right, well, we got to destabilize. But, there is one other thing I want to mention as to why I went from Ian as someone else to maybe he is Roman, is that by the time I get to the bottom of the secondary note where it says, in some cases, hiding a man is less useful than putting him where he will matter. This is contradictory to mentioning where these conditions overlap. Death may be publicly true without. So they're saying on one page that we need to make sure everyone believes he's dead. Otherwise, people are going to dig and find out things about him and whatever that we don't want them to know. Only Ian should retain this knowledge. But then in the next page, they're saying instead of hiding him, he needs to be walking around in the public. And we've seen this, right? He walked freely on Faces Island, as I was told. He walks around San Andreas. I believe he twatted a few times. So how do you do that while also being a dead man walking? Well, you know what the answer is? We know him as Ian because we met him looking the way that he does. The only way for him to exist so publicly is if he looks drastically different than his identity once appeared.
Mm-hmm.
Which would then remove my notion of he looks too young, and may also remove why Ian's name, or possibly a pseudonym, is sat there in an FIB file. So I don't know. I'm not, like I said, I'm on 60% on my belief here, but not quite over, I'm not on absolute certainty.
But the pillars are there. It's a very strong foundation.
Redacted personal entry. Primary visible violence was carried out by an external actor operating under instruction. Supervising direction was provided through Delta One. Subsequent continuity. Primary visible violence was carried out by an external actor operating under instruction. Charlie was instructed to kill him with Delta One. I'm presupposing. Supervising direction was provided through Delta One. This is the talk that Delta One and Charlie told me about. Subsequent continuity handling also remained under Delta One, linked to oversight. So Delta One has been managing him this entire time, and this UC thing that he's been doing. This is not treated in the file as contradiction, only sequence. Oh my God. Hollow Trust reference. Hollow Trust appears beneath this review in the same way it appears beneath Blackwell linked custody routes, the Blackridge Capital. Preserved freight structures, successor tactical files, yep, and the restricted personal matters. No explanation is offered here, only repetition. Wait a minute. I may actually still have photos of the Blackridge book. Have you seen it?
No, I haven't.
Okay. I need to show you this because the linkage of information here is going to be vital. Give me a second here. Bro, this is crazy. Chad, this is a better Faceless Friday than just dying. Than just getting, like, murked left and right. Uh, Hey,
I'm
Robin.
serious. I'll quit and be a lawyer right now.
Wait, why? What's going on?
Oh, can you please get reinstated? This is terrible. This is terrible.
Wait, why? What's going on?
We are having a terrible time. People just don't have brain cells.
Wait, what do you
People
mean?
just don't have brain. I don't want.
Look,
We have someone in a stolen truck, and they're like, what do we suspect them of? It's a stolen truck!
Wait, but the Chief Justice, or not the Justice, Sean Danielson and the DOJ, we made that deal that there needs to be limited. You can search them for just being there. I'm confused.
No, they're in a stolen truck anyway. We can search them.
Yeah.
We can arrest them. And then I don't know. I might have Woods explain the whole thing because Woods is like muttering to himself as well. He's shy. We're both very frustrated.
Wait, so
We had people.
where was the truck?
We had a group of people claiming to be Jetsam workers down at the docks. And they were just, from the sounds of it, bullying Vale's vehicle. So, like, oh, it just sounds like a distraction. Let's, like, look around. And then they go, bear in mind, this is the docks that no one's meant to be at right now. Then they go on top of this, this crane, start tackling officers. And it's like, well, they're now trespassing as well. It's like, no, they're workers. We've put out a state announcement saying they can't be down there. I don't give a fuck who they are.
2 seconds. Eliza, what's your state ID?
15710.
Wait, so I'm assuming what you're saying is that something's happening at the docks and people are SPSing?
Yeah. For some reason, we've just got the gloves on today and we're just being very, very nice to everyone.
I thought that's what we were already doing, and that's why it's good that I'm gone. I'm being facetious.
I don't know. Woods, you might have to call Brian and give him the rundown of today because I don't even know what's happening. We're just watching people do things and not stopping them from doing things.
I mean, how are all the Homeland Command folks doing? New leadership?
We're just watching them do things and we're not stopping them doing things.
You're watching who do things?
We're just watching people do things and not stopping them from doing things. That's literally that's everything that's happening. We have been endlessly circling around the docks.
Same people or like different people?
We're just around the area. We've been just circling the docks for the past 3 hours plus. He's on a tablet. Oh my god, Woods.
Wait, who is?
Woods. I don't know.
Wait, what do you mean? Someone's on a tablet?
I don't know what's happening, Brian, anymore. I don't.
You know that my shit probably got stolen from Mission Row PD by people hacking via tablets.
Yeah, I pointed this out. I read the book about an ATC attack.
Okay, why are they not doing anything?
I don't know. I'm about to crash out on the radio.
Oh my God. It is bad out there. So, oh, by the way, what I sent you, turns out I had not taken copies of it all. I'm still looking through my files because I may have stopped halfway, but those are that's the cover and the first page. I'm seeing if I have the rest.
I appreciate it nonetheless.
Oh, one other thing. You're going to notice that looks very similar to, I'm going to send you another file. And this is cooked. This once again is very partial. Look, I'm not the one that does the documentation usually.
I just appreciate the additional context. It's not expected by any means.
Yeah. You may have seen this. This was on CJ and Lang after they were arrested shortly after they came back island side after they shot cops.
Really?
What was the state ID again?
15710.
Okay. So this book, notice the cover.
Wow. Just sending all of their orders to the same printer, it seems.
Well, I mean, it's more than that, right? It's like, it to me screams, there is a pattern. Victor Blackwell tends to use a certain stationery, right? Faceless use a certain stationery. It is interesting that the stationery for that, what's happening on the island, is similar to the stationery of this high level, Black Ridge book. So,
very much that.
Now the reason I wanted to show you that is when this page number 5 in the book you sent me said, Hollow Trust appears beneath this review in the same way it appears beneath Blackwell linked custody routes. That is referencing Black Ridge. And preserved freight structures, successor tactical files, which is what you have right there. And a successor tactical file is how they turn something that once was like Black Ridge into something which was was primarily an investment firm, like Diamond Mines, right? Who had security for happenstance, right? Keep the mines protected from guerrilla groups or whatever. And because of the news and whatever, Victor Blackwell and this successor file is discussing how they took Black Ridge, turned it into Darkstone in a way where no one knew about its links to Black Ridge in the past history. So it turned from what was known to be this, like, let's just call it wasn't a diamonds mine company, but just for sake of like metaphorical comparison, I guess, is imagine this crazy like Elon Musk diamond mine with like fucking, soldiers against like guerrilla groups. And they're like, oh shit, we're looking bad in the news because these are blood diamonds. Let's go actually turn it into SpaceX, right? It's like a pivot, even though the back end might be the same. So now we know Darkstone as just this security company, but guess what? Darkstone is still an investment company. They just don't tell anyone. Does that follow, or did I make it more confusing?
No, that very much makes sense. I'm digesting it, but that very much makes sense. Huh.
No explanation is offered here, only repetition. In other words, this is not the first time they've done it. So Crawford was not saved. He was kept.
Makes sense that it would be sort of their MO with maintaining smooth flow between operations.
What's going on, Robin?
Now they have knives. Where are you? Well, me and Woods, we're going 42 because we need to have a fucking conversation about what the hell's just happened.
I need about 30 minutes. I'm
30 minutes.
yeah,
Okay.
yeah. I'll give you a call as soon as I'm done. Yeah.
Okay.
Right. Easy. All right. You stay safe. All right. Is it dangerous out there?
There was Brian. I can't. I'm actually gone. There was 4 individuals in the back of this fucking thing. There's 2 in the front. There was 6 people in this fucking van. We're not doing anything. We're like, okay, we'll do PBS now. After 5 minutes of it going in circles, obviously wanting to be in the area.
The people
for
on the
something.
tablets?
Yes. There was someone on the tablet in the passenger seat. There was 4 individuals in the back. We don't know what the fuck they were doing. They all had scuba gear on and they all jumped in the fucking water.
So even though everyone was around during the situation where they hacked into Mission Row PD to steal my records on behest of the Faceless, someone else is now doing some hacks at the last source of water in the city, and PD watched and then did a jewelry store chase?
Yeah.
Sounds about right. All right.
This is fucking nuts. Whatever the fuck's going on, I don't. Would think there was something to do with hacks because he heard like someone call out the letter M. I don't know.
Is Maxwell making the calls for Homeland?
No, Brandy is.
Oh. Well, I imagine. I don't think Brandy would have made those decisions.
just a bank heist. Brandy was the one calling out who was the primary, and then she was the one to call out PBS.
Okay. Well. All right, we'll talk soon. Yeah.
Okay. Well,
hang in there, Robin. Hang in there.
I'm about to quit. I think Robin did the right fucking thing after the shit show I just saw. I think Robin did the right thing.
Look, it's gonna be just hang tight. We're gonna talk in a little bit.
This is not what Sassam Academy had me ready for. I was ready to get these fucking terrorists, shoot them down when needed, arrest when people were actually, in areas where we're saying, they're not meant to be. But apparently not. Apparently we're not doing that.
Jesus. All right. Oh God. I am going to suspect that if you suspect that they were hacking, there was no explosions, it sounds like, no shooting, then they have probably stolen the transport route information for the next water transport. Consider it an educated guess.
I just can't believe what happened.
Well, why don't you shoot them?
That's a great question.
Shoot them. If they're doing something that compromises our last port under the conditions that were met, shoot them. What are they going to do? Bring it to trial? I mean, listen, look at what's happening to me. Why can't we just shoot them?
I'm in no position to make calls.
Yes, you can. You can be like, just start saying, opening fire. Like, you could just say they started shooting. No, don't do that. You might get fucked another way. Don't act.
Yeah, I'm not doing that.
I mean, you can start complaining about it on the radio. Why are we not shooting them? They could be killing us right now. They might have fucked with the water. All right, listen, we'll chat soon.
Okay, I'm gonna go to full lock car with Woods. He's going with me.
All right.
I'm gonna go 42 though.
Just make sure you complete your scene, all right, and write your reports. Don't be like those other ones.
Complete my scene and write my reports.
Yeah, you should at least write the report in. Yeah, and then 42.
Yeah,
Give me about 30 minutes. Tell Woods to do the same, right? You don't want to be. Minutes. You don't want to be a contributing factor to why everything's cooked.
Okay.
All right. Easy. All right. I'll talk to you soon. Bye.
See you soon. Bye-bye.
All right. So that was my daughter in Marshall. She's new.
Oh.
Apparently, our last water import had people in a bus going around with their tablets out, which we know is a likely sign of someone trying to break into computer systems. PD just watched them, didn't do anything. And then after they realized, oh man, they might be hacking, they chased them without hitting them off the bat. And they're refusing to shoot. So likely the very documents that indicate, water transports into the city, the last way we get water is now probably in the hands of the faceless, because they stayed there. They protected that area for 3 hours and then didn't do anything.
Concerning on multiple levels.
Yeah. This is such a good book. So I'm now at the annotations. So Crawford was not saved. He was kept. It makes sense. There is a difference. A saved man is fortunate. A kept man still belongs to the structure that refused to let him end. They're talking about their own structure. This is the cruelest line in the file. Only sequence. But these are annotations written by someone else. This is like post facto notes. This is the cruelest line in the file, only sequence. As if the shooting, the burial of the old name. Oh! That's confirmation. It was a name then. Hey, I think this is our, I think this is our man. And the later placements were all one continuous act. No break, no contradiction, no moral threshold cross, just sequence. If Delta One stood over both the death and what came afterwards, then the wound was never the point. The point was the transfer. In other words, the plan to do all this happened well before a long time before even Delta One realized. That leaves a colder question. How many men have been made to hate one another while serving the same design? Which is what we're saying from the very beginning.
Yep.
It's all part of the same thing. Some men are more useful in death, provided death is only public. Ian Crawford's continued existence was not a mistake. It was arranged. Ian Crawford. I'm going to hand you back the book.
Thank you.
Ian Crawford Roman Gray joined the Faceless, as told to me, was his last mission as a FIB agent, to go deep undercover. Hence the documents that the Faceless wanted. Probably similar reasons as to why y'all sought it. Similar reasons to why we sought his records to figure out who's Roman Gray. For the PD, it was for finding him. I think for others, it was similar to find answers. Mind you, and this is a big piece here, sometimes when we see the Faceless doing things, we assume it's the entire organization. Well, I can tell you right now with confidence, some assets work for Charlie, work for the Faceless under Charlie, others under Mr. Blue. Many, or most, don't know where the order arrived from. This is why Charlie was on the chopping block at times. Charlie was the one seeking the answers, not Mr. Blue when it came to that. I believe Mr. Blue came to learn what Charlie was seeking, which is why Charlie believed he was at the verge of death. Charlie was getting too close to the truth beyond what his orders were to be a soldier, to enact, to oversee these missions. But But going back to when Roman Gray went into the Faceless, he disappeared. I don't think he necessarily disappeared. I think he became a part of the same structure that he was once investigating. And I'm not talking about the Faceless. I'm talking about the entity above that. But I don't know. Maybe this is too much of a stretch.
It's worthwhile considering, at least, given the tangled web we find ourselves in.
It would also, if Ian did, let's say, press the button in Jersey, then perhaps he presses the button here.
Mm-hmm.
Holy shit.
Seems to be the one nudging people in certain directions, which, simply by virtue of the fact that I imagine I'm not the only one he's disseminating this information to. But the thing that troubles me is I do not know to what end.
I descend capped like a holy fuck. His shit is so fucking good. Chat. Cap's lore is fucking crazy. Go send some love his way. Go send some love. This is crazy.
But unfortunately, it might be one of those things where time will reveal.
Yeah. You know, the scary thing here, Eliza, is I feel like we've gotten so much closer to the truth, especially even just in this conversation alone. At least it feels that way, but no closer to a fucking solution to any of it.
I'll admit that's what I've been racking my brain about for the past couple years now. Keep thinking I come to a definitive solution on how to fix things, and then tossed to the side once new revelations come to play.
I need to catch up with my daughter, but I have so much more to say and share with you. I'm going to try to, with everything going on, I need to, like, how do I put this? Almost like remind myself what the fuck I've picked up since we last spoke, because there was so much, but then this kind of almost put a blanket on my thoughts. Night.
Hey, Brian. It's
Hey.
Cole.
What's going on, Cole? Can I call you back?
Oh, man. Yeah.
Hey, you know how it
back.
is, man. You know?
You can call me back. Yeah.
All right. Talk to you soon. Bye.
All right.
Let me ask you a more immediate question. How do you plan to survive this? Because I think right now that's the most important thing that we all need to be asking ourselves.
I'm going to be working an angle with my old stomping grounds to see if I can get more context and perspective on things.
The phone communications will likely be down within the week. I believe that once that happens, some of the survival tactics you learned in Babylon probably going to be very useful. I've ensured, and for the same reason I initially reached out to Clark, because I tried to galvanize him, the besties, other groups that aren't aligned with the Faceless, to let them know that, listen, it's going to be them versus us ultimately, regardless of where our paths currently are. I think what the besties are doing up north is necessary, because law enforcement is not only not enough, they're too fucking blinded by, they still think nothing's, they're operating as if the world isn't ending. It's the best way I can paint it. They're operating under a false guise that we can fight the Faceless. Did we have a chance before? Sure. Do we now? Of course not. Survival is our only option, and colonies encampments are the only solution, because I believe that once those phone lines go out, the majority of the city doesn't know how to operate without a damn phone. They're used to calling someone else up, getting a repair. Where are they going to get food? The only gas is up in Polito. There's some facilities at Fort Zancudo, but I don't think it ends there. I fully expect that if there are not lines of trade, if there isn't compromise, people are going to start fucking killing each other off like a goddamn purge.
Yep.
All the while,
as you said, the steps, they want that to happen so that the person with the bucket of water can come in.
they mention a savior in some of their writings. I'm gonna say something, but I don't think this is the answer. There was a part of me that wonders if Lang Buddha's dressed up like some scuffed Jesus for that reason. Well, that and his other tie-ins that he keeps very close to his chest. But I don't actually think that's the case. I think that savior is actually Ian. Or intended to be in some capacity.
I'm inclined to agree.
And I think a large part of it is similar to the Blue Man. There's so much allure. There is so much allure that the Faceless will bend to him, the PD will bend to him, just because he is a mysterious foe that they will not question. But maybe that's too much on the nose, simply because I don't think anyone's ever heard him speak. So, unless he's going to do all his directives from intermediaries, which is also possible. Oh. All right, there we go.
Admirable save.
Yeah. Where did I... Yes, I remember. All right.
Oh, yes, I can ping it on the GPS here.
All right. I'll try to do my best to free myself up today. If not, tomorrow, if you're around.
I will not be around tomorrow.
Okay.
But if not today, that's quite all right. I imagine that, well, based off of the context I got from hearing that one side of your phone call, you're going to be quite busy enough.
Yeah.
But I will be around next week, easily. Starting Monday.
Yeah. Okay. I'm going to be away probably Sunday to Tuesday, so Wednesday.
Excellent.
But even if everything cuts off, I don't think it's quite over yet. I think the real fear I have is what happens after everything is shut down.
To be more clear, when I say old stomping grounds, I mean Epsilon. So I could probably be easily found there.
Do you have access to it again?
Yes, I do.
Oh. Aren't you concerned that what's his name has access as well, or has?
We had a conversation. And it is a gamble on my part, but what do they say? The house always wins?
Jesus.
I think, given the previous conversation we have had and some new information that has come to light, Diego understands the severity of the challenges that we are facing and has considered it probably best that we work together as opposed to opposed to each other.
I agree. Just as the Faceless have divided the PD to conquer, I think well before that, their job was to divide all of us. Say what you will about Clark, and I did see some of what you described him as, like in 4K. The man bent very quickly to the Faceless. It's not lost on me that they realized they needed to do that, as they attempted to do with the besties. The biggest weapon against the Faceless is collaboration and unity. It scares the fuck out of them.
Yep.
All right.
Precisely that.
Stay safe.
You as well, Brian. Thank you.
Yeah.
We'll speak soon.